oh my god, this is way too much. This would feed like 20 to 25 people. And all the other families in the restaurant were looking over like, oh my god, it's true. They do eat so much. Like,
Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you are tuning in from. This is the BS Buddies podcast. I'm your host, Joe. That is your host, Ian. And bone apple tea, as the kids say. We are talking about weird cuisine. I knew you would like that.
Bone app the teeth. Oh man, I've seen some variations of that bon appetit. Some of them are just absolutely vile, and they make me chuckle every single time.
So we're going to be talking about more of like the weirder foods that we've had, or food we thought looked bad but was good, or food we thought looked good but was bad. We don't really know where we're going to go with this. I have some stuff written down. Ian has nothing written down.
I've got absolutely nothing, all off the top of my dome, baby, which is why I won't be able to remember any of it.
Well, why don't you start then?
You want me to start it off? Okay, so I'm going to start with one that is in a mixed category for me, because I do like one version of this food, but I don't like the other version. Seaweed. As I said, our buddy from elementary school used to bring the dry seaweed strips to school. That was interesting to me because it's kind of, I don't know, it just kind of tastes like a plant. It's not.
It's very
I wouldn't
interesting.
Well, it's not my favorite taste in the world, but it's not the worst thing I've ever tasted. It's just kind of salty, and you're like,
for me, it was so strong. Like Ian mentioned it before we started recording. We have a mutual friend, my childhood best friend, who is a native Hawaiian. His dad would send him packets of seaweed like every month. Hello, Saki, if you're watching this, love you. And he would share it. I think I tried it once, and I'm like, no, absolutely not. But I just wanted to give that backstory because Ian said, like I said, but you didn't say anything prior to it, so I wanted to clarify.
I 100% did. I mentioned that. I mentioned that.
You mentioned it before recording, but yeah, you did go into it. But I just wanted to.
They'll figure it out. Context clues. Have some faith in the viewers, Joe. Come on now.
I wanted to clarify why like 6-year-olds were eating seaweed for snack in school.
I'm sure that's completely normal in some places of this planet. I don't know.
Central Minnesota, probably not.
Pish posh.
Anyways,
Pish posh.
Talk about your seaweed.
So that seaweed I don't mind, right? In Minnesota. That seaweed I don't mind. The seaweed I don't like is the seaweed I had when I was over in Okinawa. And we stopped at one of those little side vendor shops because we wanted to try some quote-unquote authentic Okinawan/Japanese food. And they had quite a menu selection to choose from, and to be fair, a lot of it looked good. However, the appetizer bowl, or like the little sample thing that they give you, like, you know how Texas Roadhouse has the rolls with the cinnamon butter, whatever. Like Red Lobster's got the biscuits. Yeah, they got the little baskets that they bring out before you get your food. Well, over there, it's cups of seaweed. Not dry seaweed. Wet seaweed. Seaweed that looks like it was plucked from the bay, run through a grinder, given a little bit of a squeeze, plopped in a cup, and given to you. And it's not, first of all, it's like, I don't know how to, it's so stringy. It's like spaghetti, but 1,000 times worse. Like you pick up one strand and the whole thing wants to come with it because it's all intertwined and tangled. Second of all, it's like salty, tastes like wet grass, but the consistency is that of snot. That's a wonderful graphic visual for all of you out there, but I'm dead.
I needed that.
It's the consistency of snot, and cold snot at that. Just slimy, wet, and gross. And I couldn't physically bring myself to swallow. Like every time I had it, I was like, taste-wise, I can bear it, but I can't bring myself to swallow because I just want to gag. It's so gross going down. Feels like you hawked a loogie into your hand and went.
You can stop at any point.
I had to get that one in there. I knew that'd be gross. But anyways, that was I could not stand it, and I felt so bad because like I didn't want to be rude. I didn't know what they were gonna think of me, a foreigner coming in. Ooh, seaweed. No, thank you. Like I didn't want to be that guy either. So I think I choked down like half of it before I was like, "Oh, I just can't do it anymore." And I had gotten some, I don't know, Okinawan spaghetti dish that was much better. I greatly enjoyed that. Not so much the seaweed. At least not that kind of seaweed.
So, well, we're
Shudder.
on that topic. I'm just gonna bring up my experience with sushi. I'm not. I don't usually go out of my way to try newer foods, if I'm being honest. But a few of these I did go out of my way. But this one, I'm just its own little category. The first time I ever tried it, I was in Colorado, and this was probably the worst time to try sushi. I'm gonna tell you that. We were coming down from Estes Park, and if you don't know where Estes Park is, if you know the Stanley Hotel, the haunted hotel in Colorado, we were up there touring The Shining. You know that
Oh, okay.
the Stanley Hotel is based off of that hotel. For if
Cool.
none of you know, I toured it 3 times. It's amazing.
I
But we
have
were
seen The
coming
Shining. I am cultured
we were
somewhat.
coming down from the mountains, and we stopped at this grocery store because we needed groceries, and they were like, hey, here's a free sample of seaweed, or not seaweed, sushi. And my sister's like, yeah, try it. And like, I put it in my mouth and like spit it back out. I'm like, awful. I I did grow the courage to try sushi. I'd say 4-ish years later. Yeah, big gap. Um,
Took some
the
time.
funnily enough, our buddy that we were talking about, uh, Saki, I took him out for sushi. I knew he loved it, so I figured I'd give it a shot. And so I went there, and I'm like, you know what? Fine, I'm gonna order sushi. I looked on it, and it was like a Boston roll, is what it's called. I've never had them since, just because whenever I go anywhere, they don't have it for some reason. But this place did. So I'm like, okay, this is my first time with seaweed. Sushi, it was wrapped in seaweed. Sorry, I keep saying that.
I've got you primed thinking
Thank
about
you.
seaweed and that boogie.
So it came out with 6 rolls, and I tried the first one, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like, why haven't I tried this sooner? And then I had the second roll. I'm like, yeah, this is still really good. Third roll. Okay, this is getting a little bit different. Fourth roll. It's like I'm not enjoying it as much as I
As
was
I just
originally.
was.
After the fifth one, I'm like, I can't. I just can't. I can't do it. So I gave him the last one. I was proud of myself. I had 5 out of 6 of the rolls, but
Well, there
it
you go.
was. It just got like from amazing to just I don't want to eat this anymore.
He
Super
was like,
quick.
new flavor, and then he started thinking about it too much, and it
I
went
think
down.
so. And then the
See,
last.
the wonderful thing about sushi is that there's all kinds of different flavors. There's some out there with like shrimp tempura in it. Let me tell you, son. Oh, warm sushi, some shrimp tempura. That's some good shit. That's some good shit. You like shrimp?
Yes.
Then you'd love this sushi because I like to tell you, some good varieties out there. I'm just saying, you got options.
We went out to eat with some buddies before I moved down here to Wisconsin when I lived up in Fargo. And we went to, if anyone that lives in the area, Kobe's. Amazing. It's in Fargo, North Dakota. The last time I went there before we moved, my buddy's like, hey, I have some extra California rolls. And that's all I hear when people talk about sushi. And I didn't want to. I kept putting it off because just with the Boston rolls, I'm like, I'm not sure. but I think I had one of the rolls and I thought it was pretty good. So I feel myself, I can have sushi, but just like a few pieces.
Not a lot. That's fair. That's
So
fair.
I tried and I'm continuing to try, but I don't really get sushi anymore.
Just don't take roadside sushi and you'll be okay.
Yeah, that wasn't a great
Less
first experience.
lesson has been learned.
Ian, what's your next one?
I will say I've got a good story this time, a funny story, I should say.
Not a gross
So that,
description of the story?
yes, I can put that, well, I'd consider it a fun description, but we can put that visual out of your mind, put you at ease. So this was when I was in Okinawa, this is back in Okinawa. They had some wonderful food over there. They had some weird food, but they also had some wonderful food. And before we were supposed to go out and be on ship for like the next month and a half, um, one of my staff sergeants was like, "Hey, does everybody want to go out and we'll go have a meal at this like hibachi grill place before you guys head out?" You know, it's like kind of like a meal of like not a last meal, but like last time on land for a while because we're going to be looking at nothing but water and eating ship food, that kind of thing. So, so we go to this restaurant, and I think there was, I don't know, just shy of a dozen of us, maybe something like that, 10, 9, 10 of us, whatever. And we get in, and it's a hibachi style, which is like the grill is in the table, and they bring the meat out to you raw, and you cook it yourself right there. And they bring us to this big back table and sit us all down. And it's like the kind, take your shoes off, kneel down at the table. I think
Oh,
they have like an inset floor. So, like, you're sitting at floor level, but like your legs, you can still
that
sit
sounds
normally or whatever.
awesome, honestly.
And of course, the rest of the restaurant's filled with Okinawan families, and they're all like, "Whoa!" Like as we're walking by, it's like here come like a bunch of white boys and a couple of Hispanic kids, and and we all sit down at a table like, "Hey, don't mind us!" Like, and so we sit down, and they bring out these menus, right? And everybody gets like, I don't remember what it was, like these fluffy tortillas. I don't remember what they were called. They were super good. Like rice, your typical surroundings, whatever. And then we're all looking at the menu, and the way this place is like all you can eat. So you pay up front, and then you can order whatever you want, but you have to eat whatever you order. Type of thing. Like they don't do to go boxes, I'm pretty sure. And so we're all looking at this menu, and the pictures they show look like these little hand plates that are like this big with cuts of meat on them. And so we're thinking, oh, okay, it's like a personal plate. You order what you want. Cool. So we all took turns going around the table, like, oh, I'll get the coil beef, you get the wagyu, and get these sausages, yada yada. We're all ordering our own plates. Some people were ordering two because they're like, oh, I want to try this one and this one. And they send the order away. And it was not until the team of waiters and waitresses come out of the kitchen with like two platters in each hand walking towards our table did we go, is that for us? Did we, are they platters? Are they really? And they started like placing huge, like charcuterie board size platters of meat around our table. And we were like, oh my God, this is way too much. This would feed like 20 to 25 people. There's nine of us. and and all the other families in the restaurant were looking over like, "Oh my God, it's true. They do eat so much." Like it, like I cannot begin to. And none of like we were mortified. We were like, "Oh my God, we can't just like leave this on the table. They're gonna think we're the worst people ever." So like I think it took us a solid hour and a half, but we ate everything on the table, and I think they were even more shocked that we managed to finish it all than anything. And I will never forget because, like, you got to remember, by the time they brought out the meat, we were like halfway through bowls of rice and things of like their fluffy bread. We were like, down in beers on the second beer, and then they bring out all these platters of meat, and it was like, oh, we've made a grave mistake. But I have to commend them. The food was amazing. It was absolutely
At
wonderful.
least it was
Best
good.
food
At
I've
least you
ever had.
didn't order like
Yeah,
checkerboard sized plates and it just be awful.
mystery meat. You give you a plate of mystery meat.
So I'm gonna group my next three into one because I had them all in the same week. I went to Puerto Rico with family when I was in high school, and for some reason, I just decided I'm gonna try random stuff. One of the things I wanted to try, but they actually didn't have, was guinea hen, which is just some kind of bird that they had, and I
Yeah,
wanted to
guinea
try
hens
it.
are like chickens. They're really loud and really annoying, and I hear they taste really gamey.
And I was gonna try it, and my mom's like, "Wow, like that's wasn't expecting that," and especially when I brought up sushi first, I'm not one to try a lot of new things, but for some reason, I was a bottomless pit, and I tried a lot of different stuff. The first thing I tried was calamari rings. If you guys don't know what calamari rings are, they're onion rings, but instead of an onion, it's squid.
That just makes me shudder.
It was interesting, but it wasn't bad. It was
Same consistency, I imagine.
what?
Same consistency, I imagine. Onion to a squid? That's pretty close.
No, not at all. Not even remotely close. It was very, very chewy. You really had to chew it. But I thought it was pretty good. I just kind of put it out of my mind that it was squid. Like, but I just focused on it and it was great. Then on one of the last days, I had both of these at the same time. It was the first time I had lamb, and lamb was very interesting. It was a lot tougher, and I just had never tried it before. It was also, like I said, the last day, so everyone was just so tired and so cranky. So for me, I'm like, my taste,
You're like, meh.
my taste is just like, eh. But then after that, or before that, I think it was an appetizer. So before that, my mom had ordered crab meatballs, and I never had crab before. And after this, I never want to have it again.
Oh no.
It
Oh
was,
no.
uh, I don't even think I don't remember if the outside, like the whole thing was crab or just like the inside was crab. But I took a bite and I'm like, this is awful. This taste is awful. I
No.
I do not like this. But this place is nice and I don't know where to spit it out. Even though the ocean was right there. I thought about that. But um
Right over the
so
edge.
like Ian asked me before, I like shrimp, but I've learned I don't like lobster. I've had it multiple times. I even had it in Massachusetts twice. I do not enjoy it, and crab is basically the same as lobster in my taste buds. I just do not like it. If you guys love it, like awesome.
Godspeed.
For me, I just can't. I've tried it. I've I've even had homemade lobster. Like that's
Ooh.
the times I've had it has been homemade. The first time, like it wasn't great. Uh, we think the reason is we went over to my mom's cousin's place who lives out there who let us stay there. Like he was drinking, having a good time talking to us, so we don't think he was really watching it super well. Like it was done.
Oh, overboiled. That's not fun.
It was done, but and and then we went there a year and a half ago and had it again, and it was better. But the taste, the consistency is not for me. Then I
That's
got
fair.
one. I got one more, but Ian, if you got one more,
I was just gonna say, you know what? Actually, no. Do yours first. I'm gonna leave mine as a last thought, point of contention for the viewers.
okay. My last one is not seafood whatsoever. This Ian, I think I've brought this up to you off recording. It's my favorite burger I've ever had, and I probably will never have it again, unfortunately. Especially because I just learned that this place got bought out, so that makes me sad. This burger was a was a January special I have no idea how they came up with it, but they called it the Winter Wonderland Burger.
The Winter Wonderland burger.
I know for sure I brought it up with you. Don't tell me you repressed this as well.
It sounds familiar, at least. I'll give you that.
So I believe it was on sourdough. It
All
had,
right,
I
I'm
believe it
sold.
had like a chicken breast. It was either chicken breast or like I I'm not sure. It's been so long. It's been almost, I would say, about 8 years. It also had a hamburger patty, and it had like some sort of gravy and cheese. Again, I'm trying my best to remember it, but it was like
I feel like I've heard of a
chi-
name for this kind of burger besides the Winter Wonderland burger, and it's not coming to mind at the moment, but continue.
so it was, I believe, chicken, beef on sourdough with like gravy, and it's to this day one of the best burgers I've ever had. I had it with my dad. We both got it together, and we're like, this combination should not work whatsoever. It was like a white gravy, almost like a biscuits and gravy
Ooh,
type of gravy.
yeah, that's the kind.
It was so good. I had two. I tried going back there like the next month, but they're like, oh, sorry, that was just for the month. And so I've had it twice, never had it again. Don't exactly remember what was on it. And it makes me sad to this day.
You can look up, see if you can find some recipes, and just try them till you get it right.
Yeah.
Motivation for you. But no, God, that does kind of sound good, actually. I wanted to leave the viewers with a point of contention because one of the foods that I thought would be terrible, but I actually like, and I saw some people will vehemently disagree with me. Peanut butter chicken. You can usually find this at a Chinese buffet, which is where I first had it. You know, your typical Americanized Chinese buffet. Well, some have them, some don't. I don't know. Shop around till you find one that's got it. But it's essentially fried chicken, lathered in peanut butter, and it's like liquidy. It's not like chunky. It's not like you take a chicken tender in a jar of Jif. No, 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 no. It's cooked. It's cooked, so it's like melted. It's like an oil
It's the
ish.
batter.
Yeah, kind of like the batter, and I don't know why. Like it shouldn't work, but it does. Like you can't just go at it with like a big spoonful of it. No, 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 no. You got to have it in small bits. Otherwise, it's way too overpowering one way or the other. But take like a little spoonful. I don't even know what it is. It's like the sweetness and the saltiness of the chicken. I don't know. Okay, I'm not a culinary individual. I couldn't tell you what makes it good, but I like it, and I want everybody to think about that and maybe give it a try.
That I will definitely be on the lookout, and then we can debate it if I hate it, and we can go after it. But now it is time for quotes. If
Right.
I have a feeling you have yours ready to go.
Um. Indeed.
Okay. I'm still trying to figure out what mine will be. We'll go with this.
Success is a rarity, but failure is abundant.
I like it.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean. It sounds almost condescending in a way. Now that I read that again and again, you know what? Let me
Do,
find a better one.
do you want to read it one more
Rather,
time?
rather fail and struggle than succeed and be complacent. I want to go with that one.
What was the
Maybe
first
I
one?
guess. Success is a rarity, while failure is abundant. Kind of
You know,
condescending in a way.
I thought it was worded the other way. I'm like, oh, that's really powerful, but it's not worded that way at all.
I mean, I guess it's supposed to be like a, hey, don't feel bad. Like, you know,
It,
a lot of people fail. They just don't tell you about
well,
it.
I
I
guess I'm
guess I
thinking
can
of it
see the
like that.
angle it's supposed to take,
Like,
but like it sounds so condescending in practice.
yeah, I
Yeah, don't
guess
worry, kid. You're gonna fail.
the more I
Follow your
think about it, the
dreams.
more it makes sense. Like, yeah,
Follow
like
your.
don't be afraid to fail. Like, uh, with this podcast, we failed a lot with trying to figure out stuff, but the more we fail, the more we figure out what actually works. So,
We don't
and
think, and we don't learn from our mistakes either. Honestly, we just kind
uh,
of meander through them.
Ian shows up and talks, and
And Joe makes it coherent for the rest of you.
I try. uh, with my quote, we're moving on before Ian and I start fighting through Discord. When you're at your best, plan for your worst. For
Hey,
me, it's another one that's kind of condescending. Like so, but
plan
when
on
you're
your
at your best,
downfall.
yeah, when you're at your best, make sure if everything hits the fan, like you got a plan. So,
Aim high, hit low.
but
Go
that
fast, turn left. Take her easy now.
that concludes this episode of the BS Buddies podcast. Subscribe, it helps out the channel a ton. If you have any topics, list them down below. Thank you for BSing with us today. And like I just said, subscribe, follow to become a bud today. And we will see you next time when I tried peanut butter chicken, I guess.
You should too.